Well, hello everyone. This is Mark Levesque. I just wanted to come to you again and talk about Training for Trainers, our model of disciple making that we're seeing transform communities and cities, particularly in Africa, but in other places in the world. In fact, T4T is actually responsible, Training for Trainers, this model, which was birthed in China about 20 years ago, is responsible for disciple making movements all over the world on every major continent. And so according to Mission Frontiers. And so it's a powerful model, and we've adopted it, and we're sharing it in Africa. But my exposure to T4T was one where I didn't really understand it. I didn't adopt it right away. People were talking about it, and I just kind of said, I think I've seen different models in disciple making. I kind of ignored it. I was going to a very large church. I was working in the disciple making and small group ministry there, and I really kind of thought I knew it all, which was sad because I didn't really know it all, but sometimes we let our experience get in the way. And so I didn't adopt T4T right away. And then I moved to another church, or a smaller church, which I was pastoring. And I loved my church. Things were going well there. I enjoyed my people. We led people to Christ. We had baptisms regularly. It was a healthy church. I really enjoyed it there. But the Lord spoke to me, and he said, I want you to hand your church off to the assistant pastors, because I have something else for you. I want to multiply your ministry, and I want to make you a pastor of pastors. And so I reluctantly gave my church over to others, and I walked out really not knowing where I was going to go. But I went away to pray, and the Lord showed me a map of Africa, a beautiful map on parchment as I was praying, a vision of it. So I knew Africa was involved. I didn't really want to go to Africa, but I knew Africa was part of the plan God had for my life. I went to a meeting put on by a radio network, and For His Glory Ministries was being represented there. They were actually raising funds for the ministry and raising awareness of the ministry. And I met Rob Welch, the founder of For His Glory Ministries. And so he invited me to go to Rwanda. And the Lord actually, over time, told me, go to Rwanda and you will know. And so I told Rob, I'll come to Rwanda with you. And so I went, and I knew that in Rwanda, they were training on this T4T. It was the first exposure I've had of Training for Trainers, T4T. On the flight to Rwanda, which is a very long flight from the United States to Rwanda, it's many, many hours, I was asked by a pastor who was going to be teaching at the university about Training for Trainers to teach at the pastors' conference on T4T. Well, I didn't know anything about it. And he's asking me to teach. And he said, I have to be at two places at the same time. Can you please help me? So I said, well, give me something to read so I'd know what I'd be teaching about. So he handed me a book by a missionary named Ying Kai called T4T, Training for Trainers. And I began to read it, and it got my attention. It showed me that what they were doing in China, in just 2 years after adopting Training for Trainers, they had established over 3,535 churches in China. That's a huge growth of churches, even though they're home churches. In 2 years, 3,535 churches. That was amazing to me. And so I was really convinced that this was a powerful model, but not totally sold on it yet. And so when I landed in Rwanda, I was talking to the people there, and they had trained 165 pastors in this Training for Trainers model in this city in Rwanda. And so when I got there, I asked the team from For His Glory, how's it going with this Training for Trainers? And they said, well, we're now up to 2,500 disciple makers. I said, you've gone from 165 disciple makers to 2,500 in 7 weeks? And they said, yes. I was really excited about what they had accomplished, but that wasn't even the end of it. In just a few months, it grew to 8,000 people trained, and a few months after that, 20,000 disciple makers. That city began to be transformed. I had a conversation while I was there with the mayor. The mayor said, I don't know what you guys are doing, but keep doing it because the jail is empty. He said people are stopping drinking, they're going back to work. Marriages are being restored. All kinds of good things were happening because this T4T model was teaching people how to come to Jesus and how to walk with him and how let him make a difference in their life through becoming a disciple of Jesus Christ and learning how to disciple others. So that's what Training for Trainers does, and that's my experience. Once I saw that happening in Rwanda, I knew that this was God's remedy for how to change cities. And it was literally what Jesus and his disciples taught. And in the next few lessons, we're going to talk about what we actually do when we train in this Training for Trainers model. So again, this is Mark Levesque from Forest Glory Ministries. Thank you.